Yeah, man, my Skype looks a little bit different now too. I wonder if there's an update or something.
Maybe. Good. I wonder if people complained like, hey, move
This
that shit.
stupid.
Yeah.
Fix yourself.
I don't know. Hey, Dustin.
What an intro. Hey, Hooper.
Hey, guess what, Dustin?
Tell me.
It is episode 300 of our little show.
Oh
my God.
300.
300 episodes we have done of this HooperCast movie hour. It wasn't always the HooperCast movie hour. It wasn't always an hour. It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. Sometimes we've got videos. Sometimes we don't.
Sometimes we don't. But right now we do. Get it while it's hot. Just a quick thanks to everybody who listened and watched over the years. There's more coming later on this year as a little treat for your patronage. Not your Patreonage, though. I'll tell you that. But we've enjoyed bringing the show to you guys, and we're satisfied. So we'll keep going with it.
Yeah.
The first thing that we've got is not loaded on my laptop, but it is a movie. Oh, hello, son. It is a movie. We're going to do your film first tonight. The film is on Netflix, and it is new, Dustin.
You talking about Wolfwalkers?
Yeah, I am talking about Wolfwalkers. Hold on a second. What's up, buddy? We're talking about Windwalkers.
Wolfwalkers.
I'm getting confused with Wind Talkers, the Nicolas Cage film. Is Nicolas Cage in this movie? Yeah. Anyway, here's the movie.
You're a wolf when you sleep. What? A girl when you're awake. Robin! Something's happened to me. Yeah, I can see that. It's flippin' great. You're a wolf now. Be a wolf. The woods are getting smaller every day.
These wolves, they're just beasts.
Tonight, we put an end to this.
That's a little bit from the trailer of what the hell? Wolfwalk. Shit. I cannot say the name of this film to save my life.
Look who's talking.
Look who's wolfing. Teen Titans wolves. All right, Dustin, please take the wheel. I can't. I'm impaired.
Cool. So Wolfwalkers, one tiny point of correction. It's not on Netflix. It's on Apple TV Plus.
I don't know why I said no.
It's all good.
I made it to 300.
There you go. All pretense of this being professional is gone.
You know what's crazy? I'm stone cold sober and have been for months, and this is still happening somehow. All right, Dustin, take it away.
Sleep deprivation.
Take it away from me.
Wolfwalkers. So Wolfwalkers is directed by Tom Moore and Ross Stewart. You may know the two of them from their two previous films, although I don't think they've both co-directed the previous films, but they've both worked on them. And those would be The Secret of Kells, which I believe I reviewed on the show years and years ago. Very good movie. And A Song of the Sea, which I did not actually watch ever. So I'm going to have to check that out. So Wolfwalkers is the story of a young girl named Robin Goodfellow and her father, Bill. Bill is a hunter for a governor called Lord Protector. Lord Protector has this village called Kilkenny in Northern Ireland, I believe, and they are trying to sort of tame the woods and wilderness around them, and in so doing, wipe out all of the wolves. And so Bill has been tasked by Lord Protector to do this. Robin, his young daughter, is not content with cleaning and cooking and doing all of the womanly things that they do in Kilkenny. So she wants to be a hunter like her father and takes off into the woods with him. And what she encounters is something that no one really believes in. They think it's just folklore, and that is the Wolfwalkers, which are a group of people who can talk to wolves first, but also, and maybe most interestingly, when they fall asleep, their spirit manifests in the physical form of a wolf. And so over the course of the film, magical hijinks happens. Villains are, rising up against them, and all the while, Robin and her father become more and more at odds. It's a really, really beautiful film. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save my star rating for the very end of this review rather than the top end of it, because I have waffled on this for ages. But what I'm going to say is it's a beautiful looking film. This
the trailer is gorgeous.
Yeah, it may be the best looking animated film, well, certainly of the year, but which was last year, by the way, 2020, and also, just one of the best looking animated films in a long time.
Yeah,
there's really something to be said for the magic of traditional 2D animation that 3D animation, while great, doesn't really capture. It's just a different style, and I hesitate to ever say I prefer one over the other, but it's been a long time since I've seen a feature that's been traditionally 2D animated. So this was definitely a breath of fresh air for me. I really loved this sketchy look to it. It reminded me a lot of something like Robin Hood or Jungle Book, where you can sometimes see the construction lines of the characters. You can see, especially in this, Robin meets a young girl. I believe you pronounce her name Mev, but it's spelled Mebh. And Mev is a young wolfwalker, this wild type girl who lives in the woods, and she has this long flowing red hair that's almost as big as she is. And very often you'll see the construction, the shape of her head underneath her hair. It's just the leftover lines that the animators left, just hey, let's draw her head and, construct her, and then we'll put the hair on top. And they leave this messy, sketchy line underneath. And it's so beautiful to just look at and see oh, there's loving artistry behind each line here, and it's just so fun to look at. So the story is, I think, fantastic. I mean, it's immediately engrossing. You are with Robin the whole way, and the character design here is fantastic. I've touched on it a little bit. Robin is very thin and stylized, she's elongated, whereas Mev is short and stout. And so there's this really great visual foil between the two characters. And you eventually see this character, this Robin character, grapple with what's expected of her versus what she desires for herself. And as she's swept into the magic of the wilderness, the woods there, she begins to want something different than she wanted up front. And I love these stories where protagonists have a clear goal, a clear defined goal, only to change what that goal is mid-movie. It's almost like, you often hear what does your character want, or what does your character need that they have to find out that they need, right? So it's almost like a quest to find out what they need, and then a quest to get what they need. And that's sort of what this is here. So I really enjoy this character based film. Like, I don't feel like the story happens to these characters. I feel like the characters decide the story by the choices they make.
Right.
And particularly Robin, which is great because for a young female character to have that sort of agency that she can influence the story is really great, because we haven't seen something like that since, I don't know, Mulan, maybe.
Yeah.
Pocahontas, maybe, like where a female character, it's not like anything is happening to her. She's choosing the adventure.
Yeah.
And so it's really great. As far as voice cast goes, they're all fantastic. I love them. The only one that I knew is Sean Bean. He plays the father character, Bill Goodfellow.
Yeah.
But
I presume
there's
he dies.
I will not say, but there are a bunch of people in here, and evidently they've done things before. I just haven't necessarily seen them. There's a guy named Simon McBurney in this, and I recognize his face. I don't really know what all he's done other than like he was in he played Creature in Harry Potter. So I kind of recognize the voice a little bit, like he's doing a different voice.
I've been thinking about that guy lately, or that voice lately.
Really?
We're reading the 5th book, my daughter and I, and so we're in Grimmauld Place, and they keep talking about Creature, and I'm like,
Creature.
oh man, I love Creature.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So Simon McBurney plays Lord Protector in this, but really, like, Sean Bean is the main name that you would know, I suppose.
Right.
So what I love about that is it harkens back to all the animated films that, we grew up on, where, I mean, yes, you've got for every Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Robin Williams, you have, these stories where it's not like we're going out and finding the biggest stars in the world to be in these characters. We're just finding who's right. And that's what I loved here. So the voices are just completely right for these roles. Again, I've already mentioned, the character design. I've already mentioned how beautiful the film is. I also would like to point out the architecture and the way that it's laid out is so non-traditional. Perspective almost doesn't exist in this film, which is great. And so you'll have like a moment where a character is standing next to a table and the camera, so to speak, is at eye level. So you'd expect to not really see the surface of the table. But the table's almost like flipped up so you can see everything that's on the table. Yeah. Even though the table would have to be at like a 90-degree angle to see those things. So, but the film's not worried about perspective. Yeah. It's just like, here's the, like,
it's information. It's like a children's book. Like you do the same sort of thing with that. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
And then you have like these really great moments that I love, which, you'll have like a character moving through a setting, and instead of just watching a few different like cuts of them moving through the setting, you'll see like the first third of the screen, the second third of the screen, and the third of the screen. And like the character does a thing here and then like comes down here and across here. And it's like 3 completely distinct locations in one frame. And I love that because it's like the passage of time in one single frame. So there's some really great, I'll call that editing, some really great like storytelling visually in this. And like I said, the story's great. So what's my star rating? Like it sounds like I'm not saying anything negative about the film. So the reason why I've waffled on this for so long, and I'm not going to hit this too hard, but here's what I'm going to say. There is a negative to it. The negative to this is I feel like it's not necessarily the best film to let your children see. And that's fine. Maybe it's not made for kids. I mean, it is PG, so you'd kind of feel like maybe it is. And certainly there's nothing like overly violent or gory, or, it's not like there's tons of profanity. Like there's none of that, but I think thematically I have some issue with it. It's hard to ignore the film's anti-Christian message, which rubs me the wrong way. And I've read a ton of articles about it. I've read the directors talking about their intentions. I think it's hard to ignore, and no matter how they try to spin it, it is a pretty blatant anti-Christian message. At least that's what I took from it. So the reason why I think I would refrain from taking young kids to it is for that reason. I mean, maybe this isn't something that interests you, but for me, I at least would like to introduce children to the fact that religion, and Christianity in particular, is not necessarily inherently evil or immoral. And that's sort of what the film represents. And I guess you can kind of say, since the film leans into it with the Lord Protector character being a very devout, overt Christian, and eventually being the villain of the film and sort of calling on the name of God through the film as he does these villainous deeds. You could say that, perhaps this main character, this Lord Protector character, is not a true Christian, right? Like maybe the film's trying to make some statement about true Christianity versus this, fake medieval Christianity that was more about conquering and crusading than some sort of true version of Christianity. And I think that may be true. Like you could read it that way. There's a moment where it does feel like the character is forsaken by the God he worships, but I do think that because the film does not pose an alternative view, it does not show like, okay, well, if this is the fake Christianity, here's the true Christianity. Because it doesn't show something like that, it feels very anti-Christian, like it's trying to say this is Christianity, this is bad,
and that's it. Like there's nothing else to take from it. Yeah.
And especially when it is overtly referenced as Christianity, it's not just like a God; it is overt Christianity. And they talk about how that St. Patrick had a deal with the pagans. And so the way that this is set up is it's very much by the end of the film, and they lean into it, Christian versus pagan is the conflict. And with our main character, Robin, siding with the pagans, and thus the pagans becoming the good guys, the Christians becoming the bad guys. Now, again, maybe this isn't something that matters to you. And to be honest, in a film this beautiful and with a story this well told, it almost didn't matter to me. Because it's just a story, right? But because I have such a hard time getting on board with the conflict by the end, and because I have such a hard time with the worldview or message of the film, I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. And it would have been 4.5. Because I was totally on board, and that last act really, really went hard on, like, every line out of Lord Protector's mouth is something about God, something about Christianity, and they're leaning heavily that this bad guy is a Christian, and it just becomes really hard to ignore. So that's why I say, like, again, different strokes for different folks. Sure. Maybe this does not matter to you, but for me, I think I would at least like to show my kids, if I were taking kids to this film, that Christianity is not something inherently evil, and so because that's the only kind of Christianity presented in this film, I do think that's the message that you take away from it.
Wow.
So had they gone another route, and the main villain's motivations, had they been less religiously motivated and more like, I want the land or anything else, like, I'd have been on board the whole way. Right. Or even if, like I said, even if they did this and the villain is this evil Christian, and then there's another character that was like, more Christ-like, so to speak, and it was like a flattering view, well, then at least we're presented with that, right? Like this dichotomy, this gray area that Christianity has been and can unfortunately be interpreted in a couple of different ways, one harmful and one not harmful. But because it's not presented that way, it feels like the message to take from it is Christianity equals harmful. And so that drags the thing down. But here's what I'll say. If you can get around that, if that doesn't bother you, again, maybe it doesn't bother you, and that's fine. If that doesn't bother you, or if you feel like your kids are old enough to understand that this film and the filmmaker is making a point that you don't have to agree with in order to enjoy the film. If your children are at that point, then I'd say it's a great movie and take them to it. So I'm going to say 3.5 stars. But again, like pushing on up into the 4 range because it's just such a good, technically well-made film. It's just the worldview that I have a hard time wrapping my head around by the end. So do with that what you will.
Yeah.
But Wolfwalkers is not a waste of your time. And like I said, it's a good movie. So just take it with a grain of salt. If you are easily offended, or I don't even want to say offended because, offense and triggering is whatever, but like if you are easily bothered by anti-Christian messages, then maybe sit this one out because you might not be able to enjoy the story for, what the theme is. So, but if on the other hand you're not, then more power to you and check it out. I would love to watch it again. But yeah, so that's Wolfwalkers. It's a really weird, conflicted movie for me.
When did you get Apple TV Plus?
So I bought I upgraded to a new iPhone. I guess it's been almost a year ago, and they gave a free subscription for a year.
Oh,
so
my
until
God.
June I have it.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so, I saw this came out last December, and I've just been meaning to check it out, and I never have. So I finally got around to it. This is the first thing I've ever watched on Apple TV Plus.
Just shows you really value that free membership.
I know. I've had it for a year,
Wow.
almost a year.
I was going to say, I've never heard you speak about it at all.
I've never watched anything on it.
I have to get a new phone soon, and when I do, I'll make sure to hit them up for that because we've got a couple shows on Apple TV Plus we want to check out, but we weren't going to get the. So we just pared down our streaming services.
Okay.
We've officially scheduled the cancellation or pausing of HBO Max, Discovery Plus, and Hulu.
Okay.
It is now my job as the person who looks at things ahead in streaming to decide when we need to re-up them to watch specific things. Yep. Does it need to be immediate, or can it be in 3 months and then we have like a batch? Yeah. So that's my duty to check that out. So, dude,
I know quite a few people that buy like those Netflix gift cards, like at Target or whatever, and they'll just like re-up for 3 months at a time, like when Stranger Things comes out or whatever. And it's like, until then, I'm not interested. And they'll just do that for each service as things, come out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got everything scheduled out. So we'll check. Well, yeah. It'll be
sweet.
Okay, let's run to break real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk about film that's been on Netflix for a while, but won some awards. And we'll talk about that. Back in a second. Episode 300 of the HooperCast Movie Hour.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back. Thanks so much for being with us for 300 episodes. If you want to check out some stuff on streaming, the Good Old TV Guide article is up, so you can check that out in the show notes. But there's a number of things that have hit streaming in May that I just thought were of note, because I like to look at these and look at what I've seen already and then just tell people, like, give them a little nudge. They're like micro reviews almost.
Sure.
So Back to the Future trilogy is on Netflix.
Right.
So if you don't already own it on Blu-ray like a true patriot, then you can check it out there, I suppose. Oh shit, you're wearing a hat. I didn't see your hat. Yeah. Dustin, you got the hat on.
Yes,
representing. Sir. So on Hulu, we've got The Iron Giant is now on there. Lucky Number 11, which I had always enjoyed, from 2007 or
I've
something.
never seen that.
I haven't seen it in like 10 years or plus.
Sure.
So maybe it's not that great, but I remember at the time thinking it was different and unique.
Sure.
Yeah, my friend Tyler introduced it to me, and he's the same guy who showed me Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
So it was one of his recommendations, and so I always thought it was kind of a neat little movie. And Ben Kingsley is great.
Yeah.
We've got Flight on there as well as Skyfall, Warrior, Robot and Frank. And on Amazon Prime, you also have Flight, Skyfall, Robot and Frank. But those are all great movies. We talked about Robot and Frank. Actually, we talked about all those films on this show, actually. Disney Plus, nothing that I'm interested in has premiered. Will premiere probably until Loki. HBO Max, The Dirty Dozen, which is a great movie. Happy Feet.
Okay.
We watched that over the weekend with my kids and I. And then
Still never seen that.
Man, it's delightful. It gets really weird in the third act when, we start introducing like human beings. But it's great. And I miss Brittany Murphy. I was thinking about that a lot this morning. We've also got Jackie Brown, which is a really great Tarantino movie. I love Jackie Brown. The Rush Hour trilogy is on there. I'm just throwing up recommendations left and right. Rush Hour trilogy is on there. And Greenland is on there, which I want to check out. That Jared Butler movie. It's another one of those disaster films, and I want to see it. So all that is on streaming right now. And there's more on that list. You can check it out. The TV guide in the show notes. All right. Let's get into the second film of the night. Not as much to say about this. It's been out probably longer. So, we'll say our piece about it real quick. But the film is The Trial of the Chicago 7.
At the defense table, Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, Dave Dellinger, Rennie Davis, Lee Weiner, John Freund, Tom Hayden, and Bobby Seale. These defendants had a plan, and the plan was to incite a riot.
My trial's begun without my lawyer.
The court assumes you are being represented by the Black Panther sitting behind you.
We've dealt with jury tampering, wiretapping, a defendant that was literally gagged.
Get your hands off me!
You are the first to suggest that I have discriminated against a black man.
Then let the record show that I'm the second.
That was a little bit from the trailer of The Trial of the Chicago 7. This film came out, was it last year that this came out?
Yes.
And this was one of the things that got purchased by Netflix when we couldn't put movies out in theaters. Because this was this is produced by Sony, I believe, right? Paramount, DreamWorks, and it's distributed via Netflix solely. And this is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. You know who Aaron Sorkin is, if you're a listener. It's got a pretty star-studded cast, I would say. We've got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Sacha Baron Cohen, Daniel Flaherty, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Kelvin Harrison Jr., Michael Keaton, Frank Langella, John Carroll Lynch, Eddie Redmayne, Noah Robbins, Mark Rylance, Alex Sharp, Jeremy Strong. This is an ensemble, a large ensemble, and it is about the Chicago 7. They were protesting the Vietnam War. And they got they were in the middle of a demonstration at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Something happened, and they all got charged with criminal conspiracy and crossing state lines with the intention of inciting a riot. And it is about the horse shit trial that these men had to go through. And everything that the justice system tried to pull over on them. The incompetence of the judge, and essentially this idea kind of explored earlier in the year when we talked about Judas and the Black Messiah of what will the government or the system do to squash dissent. depending on whatever issue is dissented on. So we watched this movie a few months ago, before the award season happened and everything. When did you see this?
I saw it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, more recently than I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this film, I think I gave this film 4 stars, maybe.
I did too.
Yeah. So I think that what Aaron Sorkin is great at is, well, he's great at pace, dialogue.
Yep.
So of course he's the writer here, and then he's also getting to direct his own material. So he gets to execute the script exactly as he wanted it done on the page. And a good director is going to do that anyway. But when it's your script, you just know it better. And it makes for a more personal and realized vision.
Yep.
I think the actors are all great, especially Mark Rylance. He gives a really straightforward performance as, as their attorney, but there's just a whole lot of talking in this movie. And whenever there's a whole lot of talking and legal jargon and of course wittiness, and everyone's super educated and it's I forgot the saying, but someone was talking about how there's an existing metaphor that's like Aaron Sorkin is like the cinematic voice of highly educated liberalism or something like that. That's just his brand. Yeah. The movie is long. It is, how long is this film? This film, get the runtime exactly. It's over 2 hours. It is 130 minutes long. Okay. 2 hours, 10 minutes. It does not feel it. When we sat down to watch this movie, I was like, I can watch like half of this on, but I got to go to bed. Watched the entire damn thing. Went to bed at like 11:30 and like on a Tuesday. And I couldn't stop watching. Every single thing that happens in this movie is like, oh my God. And you go to the next, and it leads right into the next scene, which deals directly with the fallout of those things. The pace is great. Whenever you're watching Injustice, you're always glued to the screen as well. Yeah. The only thing I'll say about this movie is, just like other films based on historical events, the responsible thing to do before you talk too much about it is to go read about the event itself. If you do that with this film, you'll realize that some of the events depicted in this film didn't actually happen in the order that they happen in this film. Some things happened months apart. Some things happened in reverse order. And they've been arranged in this way for maximum emotional impact. So you always have to remember that that's what film is. It is maximum emotional impact, to bring awareness to a person, a place, a thing, an event, a time in history. No matter how important that thing is, you cannot take a film as fact. That's why they say based on a true story, and you got to go do the research if you want to go, well, actually,
art is interpretive.
Art is interpretive, and this is a very entertaining film about a very real thing that happened that's very evocative of very real problems then and very real problems now. But before you start talking about, and then this happened, and then the day after that, this is a movie, and you need to really go look and make sure that those things actually happen. So quick Google search will reveal that, what is it. It's not like the thing is inaccurate. It's just events are arranged in a different way than they actually unfolded, But even
if it was inaccurate, who cares?
Right.
If you want to know the story, there's plenty of ways you can find the story.
Exactly. There's books all over the place on this that I want to check out. And, I enjoyed the movie. It's eminently watchable, especially for a long film. I think Sorkin, as insufferable as he can be sometimes, I want him writing and directing films, and I want them of this type of ilk, whether it's The Social Network or or the one based on the next Mark Zuckerberg book, or this film, or other legal drama. I mean, like he belongs writing characters and writing drama, and if he wants to direct it. So I will continue to be more inclined to watch a project if his name is on it, in the writer or director role. You said 4 stars as well for you?
Yeah, 4 stars for me. I thought this was much more effective than Aaron Sorkin's last film, Molly's Game.
I never saw that.
Which I didn't hate, but I think ultimately it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the Trial of Chicago 7 was, like you said, just super watchable. I stayed glued to it as well. it is emotionally investing. Like you care what's happening to these people, which is great. And truth be told, like you should care regardless of your politics, what's going on here and what injustices happen. Yeah. Because any injustice is not okay. So it doesn't matter. Like I'm sure there are people who are like, well, this is about some Democrats, I don't care, or whatever. And it's like, well, why? If there's injustice happening to anybody in America, then it shouldn't, like you should be worked up about that, not indifferent. And like, look, I think that you can absolutely love or hate Aaron Sorkin. I have not seen all of his stuff, but what I've seen, I've enjoyed. And I think he's a great writer. Yes, all the characters kind of sound the same. But that's his style. Like they all talk the same way and have the same exact level of snark and like the same brand of snark. And that's fine. Like it's a movie and that's just the way he writes. I could see him like in film school and like some, out of touch professor being like, their characters all sound the same. You got to do something about that. And it's like, but that's how I want them all to talk. Mm-hmm. And then, but it's not realistic. Yeah. Who cares? It's a movie. Like it's, whatever.
He'll say something like, have you ever heard of the ship of Theseus? He was like, yeah, right. Shut up, you.
Shut up. Stop being smart on me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I really enjoy the way that dialogue rolls out for him. Mm-hmm. It is quick and it's witty and it's always interesting. It reveals character and it moves the story along.
Yep.
Which is what it's supposed to do.
What you're supposed to do. There's nothing wrong with screenwriting that plays to the broad audience. When you can make anyone want to watch your movie and invest in your subject, it doesn't. It's so weird because like I criticize Aaron Sorkin plenty. But all of my criticisms are substantive, the ones you just laid out. Like, there's flaws for him as a screenwriter. He doesn't really know how to write characters in more than one or two voices.
Yeah.
I don't need him to do that. I need him to write characters like this so that I can watch a movie where I can watch a movie where I'm not bored. I don't look away from the screen a single time in this film because it's so tightly paced.
What
Singularity of vision.
It does not matter if the characters all sound the same if you have fun watching it.
Yeah.
And that's what happens here. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great watch. There's a specific scene with Bobby Seale that's incredibly affecting. And Frank Langella's character, Judge Julius Hoffman, is maybe the best screen villain I've seen in quite some time.
I have not hated a character so intensely in years.
And that's great. You're supposed to hate the villains. They're in this world where we all want to like sympathize with villains.
Oh, man.
We've forgotten that you're supposed to also hate them.
Yep.
Like you can sympathize all you want, but you have to hate them too. And you hate this guy.
The only thing during the whole movie that I was sort of like, this is great, but I feel like they're laying it on a little thick with this judge. And then they lay out all the stuff that like in the credits about the judge and his verdicts and everything that happened after. I was like, oh my God, that really happened. Like,
I Googled him afterwards and I was like, I have to know, is this for real?
Is this just a made up like smear? Like I'm a bad judge of character.
I'm the villain. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Dude's a jerk. Like I hated him. So job well done and good for Frank Langella because that's a tough role to play.
Yep.
And yeah, man, like he pulled it off. So, but all these actors pulled it off, particularly like Sacha Baron Cohen. I've never seen him in anything. Not a single thing. I've never seen Borat. I've never seen Bruno. Never seen anything.
Wow.
And I was like, yo, this dude can act, man. And so I was shocked, but there you go. I don't know the guy.
Eddie Redmayne.
Like I bought him I bought him in this role, which is, more than I can say for some other characters that he's played, Newt Scamander. And I think that there's just a strength to this writing, and when the writing is strong, the actors bring their A game. When they're working for somebody that has the clout that Aaron Sorkin has, they bring their A game. So I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I would totally watch it again.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron. You don't want to be the person who made Sorkin's next film bad. Yeah. And it's not like Sorkin is like Scorsese or anybody, but Sorkin is, we got to stop saying expressions like that, because that's it's kind of like saying like we're not allowed to have any new auteurs or any new voices directing films. Like Sorkin's has only a few credits under his belt for directing film, but he's as legitimate as anybody in Hollywood when it comes to consistently putting out great watchable work. And whether it's life-changing or not, or over saccharine or over sappy or over idealistic or not, people like it, and I like it. Not without its flaws, but its flaws are pale in comparison to the benefits. Like you may get too many characters who all sound like each other, but what you do get is a tight pace, singularity of vision, emotional investment, and watchability and rewatchability. When the movie goes almost too quick for you, but you are somehow picking up on every little thing, that's good directing and good writing. Because whether if someone's talking a bunch of exposition and they're simultaneously using shot design to communicate what's going on presently, that's economy of filmmaking. That's what you're supposed to do. Yep.
Yeah, and he's a master at economy, because not a thing is wasted here.
Nope.
And like this, the reason he has clout, the reason he is who he is because you can go back to A Few Good Men. Like the dude has been doing this for a long time. Moneyball is great.
Man,
Social Network,
Moneyball.
Obviously. Like these are great movies.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to his next, being the Ricardos. That's going to be super awesome. So yeah, I mean, I'm on board, and I'm interested. He's one of those writer directors that I'll follow and see. Okay, what are you doing next?
Yep.
And I don't watch everything. Like I never saw Charlie Wilson's War, but
I saw that.
It's fine. That's fine. I'll just skip it for now. Like, well, I'll come back to it. So yeah,
he's on my list. The people I'm watching, he's on my list.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I want to say a couple quick things before we wrap it up tonight.
Do it.
Sort of just once again, it's not the anniversary of the show or anything, so I'm not going to go too deep on this one, but this is our 300th episode. And, the last, we had a pretty normal episode. For our 100th, we did a superhero movie countdown with John.
Yep.
For our 200th, we reviewed Avengers Endgame. That was really just timing. So we didn't go big on this one. I think for my part, we were having some technical issues the last few weeks. I just didn't want to chance anything.
Yeah.
And my kids have been sick, so I didn't want to have to cancel on multiple people.
Sure.
But, there are, I really enjoy doing this show, and I've enjoyed the process of trying to make it easier, trying to make it better, trying to make it more efficient, trying to hone the workflow. And as for iron sharpens iron, that's part of what keeps me sharp, because my job in all of my professions is system efficiency, basically. So it helps me sharpen that skill. But also as a critic, I can't do this nearly as well without you, Dustin, without you here to bounce ideas off of and thoughts. And, even though sometimes like I lament that, sometimes in a given month or week, most of the time we talk, it's only directly related to this show. And it's like, sometimes we don't get to catch up, because we're both so busy. But with the fact that we get to do this show, it's like without the show, we wouldn't even have that,
Yeah, for sure.
So like it's fun because this is our favorite subject, and we get to schedule a time to do it every week. and other people who were interested get to listen.
Yeah. Well, from the get-go, like for me, the show was, look, you and I, we've said this before, you and I are going to call and talk to each other about what we've been watching. We might as well put it on the internet and like have a record of it, whether anybody ever listens to it or not.
Yeah.
Like we can always go back and be like, oh, what did I think about that movie? Or something funny happened that one week. What was it? And then go back and listen to it again. And that's cool. And yeah, man, like as a critic, like, so I know, I have not gone very far back to listen to some of our super old episodes in a while. But I know that we've gotten better as critics.
We've gotten so much better,
more knowledgeable. You know, in terms of like actually writing too. Yeah, I've noticed an uptick in, like, I know this is going to sound braggy. I don't mean it to sound braggy. Mm-hmm. I think I know better how to write. Yeah, because I've looked critically at movies for as long as we have.
Yes,
and so, you know, there's this mentality of like when you watch a movie, you're not doing anything productive. I completely disagree. Right. I think if you watch movies the right way, you are being productive, and then you do things like what I did with Wolfwalkers all week, which is, what do I think about that? Yeah. Did it work? Did it not work? What did it mean? And not only am I trying to like figure it out based on my own interpretations, but now I'm reading other writer or other critics saying like, hey, here's what we thought it was, and trying to figure out like, does that hold water? Does that work with me? Yeah. And trying to figure out how to tell a story. And so I can absolutely say that creatively, I think I understand how to write a movie better because we do this show. And that's not to say I'm a good writer at all. And I'm certainly have never been published. So
you are a good writer though, Dustin. Like, well, thank you. You've been a good writer since college, but I can only imagine you've improved, you know, just like I have.
No, I've always thought you were the better writer between the two of us.
Oh.
But the truth is, like, you pat my back, I'll pat your back, buddy. But it's true. Like I think what's great about the two of us watching something like when we both watch The Trial of the Chicago 7, we'll both come away with something a little bit different. Maybe that's not the best example because we kind of just totally agreed on everything tonight. But like, but a lot of times we'll come up with something different, and it's like, oh, I didn't think about it that way, or whatever. And like that's what's fun about it, and it just shows that we each have strengths and weaknesses in terms of writing and blind spots to what we see and don't see as critics. And so, yeah, like I think for sure the show has been productive, and watching movies for the show has been productive. If we didn't do the show, I would just be watching movies and presumably cataloging some of that information. Sure. But because I'm not speaking it, like I'm one of those people, there's a term for this. I can't remember what it is, but like, I verbally process my brain. Yeah. So like, if I don't speak my brain, then I don't actually really know what I think. It's just kind of all up there in a jumble. Yeah. And so without the show, like I presumably everything I've watched in the past 300 episodes would just be all jumbled up in there. And I'd be like, I don't know how to make sense of this.
I'd be bugging the shit out of my wife.
Same. And my dog and anyone else who would listen for a second. Like
my son.
My dog's like, I'm trying to go to bed. And I'm like, Wolfwalkers, man, you got to know about this.
Yeah, it's definitely been good for the brain, for me at least, for me as well. Yeah, I say at least, like you didn't just tell me the exact same thing for you. So,
right.
Yeah. So
were you listening at all?
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers to you. Cheers to 300 episodes. Indeed. Yeah, man. And we'll be back next week to do number 301. And we've got I've got some, I won't say ideas, like anything's radically different, but like I just, you know, there's stuff we like to do with the show and discussions we like to have on the show. And, you know, we're going to try and bring people in to talk about those things with us, and cast a little bit of a wider net.
Oh Lord, we're doing a musical episode, aren't we?
We're going to do a musical episode.
Oh no.
So, anyways, stay tuned for that, whatever that is. And, but for now, thanks for listening. Thanks for, riding on the ship with us. Onward. Not the film though. Not the film Onward.
Not the film.
No.
Onward and Upward.
Onward and Upward, which is probably the sequel to that film.
Probably Onward and Upward.
That's probably coming.
I'm sure it is.
Because toys.
All
right, Dustin. Chip, chip, cheerio, sir.
Yeah.
Bye.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chimchery.
Just kill me.